Welcome back, rulers, to the Yearbook, the series that looks at rulers of the past and where they are today. Today's ruler is another fan favorite that pioneered the Death and Taxes genre of decks when she was released in Lapis Cluster. Today's ruler is Zero, the Sixth Age of Light. Let's begin.
Okay, rulers, settle down. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as these amazing patrons. Special thanks to guest lecturer member Vite Ramen. Thank you for your support. Class is in session.
Players were first introduced to the character of Zero when she was still under the control of the Cthulhu Legions in Grim Cluster. That story hasn't been lost on Zero's card design in Lapis Cluster, as she continues to benefit from the power of the Darkness attribute. Paying 1 Darkness on her front side allows Zero to remove symbol skills from opposing J Resonators. She retains this ability when she flips to her J Ruler side, but as a continuous ability instead. Zero also gains damage prevention in battle when flipped, as well as precision to pick off an opponent's Resonators. Because of all of these benefits, a cheap judgment cost and a higher than average stat line in 1100 attack and defense, Zero, Master of the Magic Saber, was a formidable J-Ruler in the early Alice Lapis format. Zero was one of those rulers that helped to popularize the Megazord strategy. And no, I will not refer to the strategy as Voltron because we all know which franchise is better. These strategies would sink their resources into creating a powerful J-Ruler that was difficult to remove or destroy, leading most folks to create a Zero deck that focused on the original free regalia and strong removal options, like Zero's Magic Light. However, as sets were released, Zero gained much more support in the form of Kage's Moonbeam Butterfly and Guardian of the Altean Law, which led to a variation of the Megazord strategy called Death and Taxes. Zero Death and Taxes was taken to many US tournaments where it commanded a lot of respect among the player base, as a deck that could stop the more prominent decks in their place if given the opportunity and the wiggle room to do so. Death and Taxes was so memorable that it's still remembered as the dark horse strategy during the Priscia Fox metagame throughout the Force of Will community. However, with the release of Echoes of the New World and the brand new Rhea cluster, Zero was able to diversify her playstyle and take a top 8 placing at the London Wanderer GP in August of 2018, through the work of Enrique Real Perdomo. Perdomo's version of the Zero deck now had access to cards like Kiza's Call, allowing Zero to stop the opponent's Resonator effects upon entering the field. Flute's Water Dragon also allowed for Zero to still call for a stone without losing the ability to attack on her J-Ruler side. Resuscitating Will was a useful addition also, so that Zero could close out games when given flying through the Apollo Regalia. Perdomo was also able to hone his stone base to light and water only, to make the Zero deck even more consistent overall. What's noticeable though is that Perdomo avoided using classic Death and Taxes cards and even the potent Final Battle. Instead, he favored a stun list that focused on outmaneuvering the opponent through things like Zero the King's Blade, and swinging for big damage in the air with his J-Ruler. Nowadays, Zero remains a fan favorite in the Wanderer, Epic Stories, and Pauper formats, and even more cards have been released to aid Zero in her overall strategy. Zero still offers a powerful mid-range strategy, a large attack and defense, as well as a powerful set of effects on her J-Ruler side. But now, she has even more ways to capitalize on her strength nowadays. If you're going to build a Zero deck for Wanderer format, you're going to want to take a look at some of the newer support that adds to her overall strategy. Flute, Captive Dragonoid Child, is arguably the best Resonator with will production attached to it in the game. Mostly because it not only generates light will, but it also has natural barrier attached to it, which means it can't be removed from the field very easily. It also doubles as a board wipe spell on its second half of the card. Even the counters it generates can sometimes be game-changing, adding that little extra damage. But that's not all. In the Alice Origins cluster, the card The Road of the Sacred Queen can inhibit your opponent's attacks by resting your opponent's Resonators as they enter the field, allowing your Resonators to attack over them. Cards like Pierre the Godspeed Archer provide defensive counters, very similar to Artemis the God's Bow, but also has the useful detail of being a swiftness Resonator with flying, allowing you to be offensive as well. Light cards have come a long way since Zero the Sixth Age of Light was first released in the Lapis cluster, allowing you to have a suite of quick cast Resonators that can be played on your opponent's turn, adding to the simultaneously disruptive and aggressive playstyle that Zero is known for. But Zero also naturally flows into some darkness support, allowing her to take advantage of darkness cards that do not require too much darkness will to be useful. Cards like Ultra Magic Stone Golem, as an example, can potentially wipe your opponent's board for very cheap if you happen to be running a lot of different kinds of magic stones. In any case, Zero will benefit from having good, cheap cards that advance your board state, while limiting or disrupting your opponent's actions in the game. The deck list below in the description is a dual color build that focuses on quick cast Resonators like Exorcist Mage and Viola Treacherous Maiden, to adversely affect your opponent at the perfect time, while also giving you bodies on board to use when you want to swing in for damage. Since you're going to be flipping Zero mid-game, oftentimes with some will left over, this can help you play Resonators on your opponent's turn, avoid summoning sickness altogether, and widen your board state as you decimate your opponent. It even uses old school regalia like Excalibur the Godsword to give your Zero imperishable, to produce extra will if you have other copies in your hand, and to give yourself a 200 attack and defense boost before upkeep. In addition, cards like Deathscythe give you ways to steal your opponent's swiftness and imperishable keywords on their J ruler. So even if you flip Zero, your opponent is forced to play at your speed no matter what they do. Similarly to Excalibur, Deathscythe buffs your Zero by 200 attack and defense as well, so use it during upkeep alongside your Excalibur. Then protect your Zero with her trademark chant, Zero's Magic Light, and the new number 13 anti-magic chant to stop your opponent from playing their own spells to counter your strategy. Then, end the game with Kingdom of Diversity by buffing your whole field by 100 attack and defense for each different race among Resonators you control. They even gain the simple skills of your J-Ruler for one final all-out assault on your opponent's life points. Of course, there's more than one way to make a Zero deck, which is why so many players are still drawn to her as a ruler of choice. You can play Water Chants like Kiza's Call and Charlotte's Water Transformation Magic to help you control what automatic effects go off in your opponent's field, or you can even shrink your opponent's Resonators into tiny bears to remove their abilities altogether. Maybe you want to invest in a Darkness variation of the deck to take advantage of cards like Command of Life and Death to revive your Resonators from the graveyard, or Glint of Insight to remove threats from your opponent's hand and see their entire hand in the process. The best part about Zero is you can build so many different decks with her as your ruler, since she's generally just so powerful overall. From the Megazord strategies, like Death and Taxes, until the modern game of today, Zero, the Sixth Age of Light, continues to be a fan favorite card due to her powerful effects, her strong base stats, and the ability she has to offer a variety of deck types, while also being one of the funnest characters in the Force of Will mythos. So give her a try with the deck list in the description. Now, what about you? Do you have any fond memories of playing Zero, the Sixth Age of Light deck? Or maybe you want to suggest a fan favorite ruler of your own. We could choose your ruler for a future yearbook video, but you have to leave your choice down in the comment section down below. Looking for more? Watch one of our recent Wanderer matches, or even look to our yearbook playlist for more videos like this one. But until next time, class is dismissed.